Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I have another bag video for you guys today. This one is actually made using the moss stitch. Super easy stitch if you've never done it. All you do is alternate between a single crochet and then a chain. Super easy. The yarn that I used for this project is Yarn Bee Yarnatopia. Again, you can get this at Hobby Lobby. This is the color gold, which I did for the yellow part, and then there's the cream and the green. You'll see it when you go to Hobby Lobby. But yeah, we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. So let's get started. And one other thing before we get started, I wanted to say that for my actual project, I used a 3mm hook, whereas for this tutorial, I'm going to be using a 4mm hook. But like always, you're going to be starting off with your slip knot. And you're going to start chaining. Now these chains are going to determine the width of your bag. For mine, show you mine. I feel like my bag is pretty small. Here's the size of my hand. And I did about, I think, 35 or 36 chains. So if you want a bigger bag, do more chains initially. But I'm just going to be doing a few here. Here's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'm just going to be making a mini example for you guys, so that's why I'm only doing 10. And like I said, we're going to be working from the bottom of the bag upwards. So starting at the base, you're going to insert your hook into the second chain from your hook. Let's actually zoom in. There we go. The second chain from your hook. And you're going to do 1 single crochet. Like so. Now in that same chain, you're going to reinsert your hook and place 2 more single crochets. So here's my second and my third. So you should have 3 single crochets all into that one chain. Now you're going to place 1 single crochet into every chain across. Show you guys here. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whoops, 6, 7, and 8. Alright, so it should look something like this. Now into that last chain, you're going to place 2 more single crochets, just like you did at the very beginning chain. My dog is readjusting behind me as she naps. Okay, so 2 more single crochets into this chain. Like so. And now you set yourself up to work back down the other side of the chain. So you're essentially going to be working into the bottom of the chain, and I think I'll be doing 7 single crochets, but do as many single crochets as it takes you to reach right where you were at the beginning. And you're going to place a slip stitch into your first single crochet, but I'll show you guys. So just insert into the bottom of the chain, whoops, and place your single crochet. So essentially we're going to be working in an oval shape, and that's going to give us the base of the bag. And as I'm doing it, if you can see, I hold the tail end of my project, that yarn, with my left hand, and I crochet around it, so that way I don't have to weave it in at the end. I'll show you guys. I'll grab my scissors and I will just cut it off like so. Alright, but I am at the end of my first round, so I'm going to place a slip stitch right here into my first stitch, if I can. There's also a ton of road noise right now, so I apologize if you can hear that. I live by like a really busy street. But yeah, let's go to round 2. You're going to place, again, single crochets in every stitch around, And I don't do the whole thing where you chain one and that represents a single crochet. You can do that and it's going to give you the same look and effect. I just like to go ahead and go into the very first stitch like so and place a single crochet right there instead. That's just habit for me. But you're going to place one single crochet into the first stitch, and then in the second stitch you are going to be placing 3 single crochets. So there's my second and my third, and make sure that they're all going into the same stitch, and then you're going to work your way back around. And I'll do that with you guys. And this is going to take you guys a lot longer since you're going to have started off with a whole bunch of chains, whereas I only started off with 10, because I'm just going to be making a little mini bag for you guys today. Alright, so I'm approaching the end. So in the next stitch right here, and it's not always going to look like it's at the very end, but it's going to be the second stitch from the previous round where you had 3 stitches all in one chain, if that makes sense. But it should be towards the very end of your oval. So here's 1, 2, and 3 stitches all in one stitch. And then I'm going to work my way back around. Alright, and here's my last single crochet. So I'm going to place a slip stitch into my first single crochet of my round. It's always difficult for me. So you're going to be repeating that pattern. I'll do one more round with you guys and hopefully you'll get the hang of it. So for this round you're going to be placing again a single crochet into the very first stitch right underneath your hook, or you'll be doing a chain 1 to represent a single crochet. And then you're also going to be placing a single crochet into the next stitch, and you will see that that will set you up to place 3 single crochets into the next stitch. 1, 2, whoops, and 3. And then work your way back around. Alright, so I'm nearing the end. And into this next stitch I will be placing 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3. There goes my dog. You can probably hear her walk away. Okay. And then back around this side, all placing single crochets into every stitch. Alright, so I've just done my last single crochet, and I'll finish off my round making a slip stitch. And you're going to repeat that however many times to get the actual size of the base of your bag that you want. Again, if you want a bigger bag, you're going to be doing a whole lot of these rounds to get the size of your bag. And for this round to set you guys up, you're going to be actually doing 3 single crochets before you reach the end, or you'll be placing 3 single crochets into one stitch, and then that'll get progressively larger as you go on. So for round 4, you will be doing 4 single crochets before you reach the end, then 5, then 6. And like I said, you'll just keep on doing that till you have the actual size of the base of the bag that you're wanting. And then after that, you're going to place 1 single crochet into every stitch around to actually get the bag formation of it coming upwards, to actually form a bag and stop increasing outwards. So that's when it'll actually start coming up this way, once you stop increasing. So I did I think 8 rounds going this way upwards before I actually started the moss stitch. So go ahead and do all of those steps, and if you're confused, just leave a your question down in the comments and I'll try to get back to you guys. But it's really, really simple. You're just going to keep on doing all these increases around till you get the size of the bag that you want. Then start doing a few rows, still all single crochets, to start getting the bag to curl upwards to form the bag. And then I'll get you guys started on the moss stitch. Alright, so I've just finished the base of my little mini bag. So I'm going to start working on the moss stitch for the body of the bag. And it's super simple, like I told you guys. It's just alternating between a single crochet and a chain. So you're going to draw up your loop and either do a chain 1 to represent a single crochet, or just go ahead and place a single crochet in that first stitch. But either way, after you do however you start your row, you're going to chain 1. You're going to skip a stitch, insert your hook into the next stitch, and place another single crochet, and then chain 1. And then skip a stitch, insert your hook into the next stitch, and place a single crochet. There we go. And then chain 1. Skip a stitch, insert your hook into the next stitch, place a single crochet, and then chain 1. Sometimes it's easier if you flip your work inside out. But then, yeah, skip a stitch, place a single crochet, and chain 1. Skip a stitch, place a single crochet, chain 1. Skip a stitch, place a single crochet, and chain 1. And just keep that process until you are done with round 1. And then meet me back here. Alright, so I just finished my first row, and I finished it by doing a chain and then a slip stitch into the first single crochet of my round. Now starting off can be a little bit tricky just because you're going to be placing single crochets into the empty spaces, like the chain 1 space that you made from the previous round. But how I do it changes sometimes depending on where I end, but based on where I ended here, I'm going to just go ahead and place a single crochet. I'm actually going to work forward a little bit and place a single crochet into the empty space here, that chain 1 space, and then chain 1. And I'm going to continue this pattern of placing a single crochet into the chain 1 space from the previous round, and then chain 1. It's super, super, super easy. And chain 1. Single crochet into the chain 1 space, and chain 1. And you're going to repeat that for round 2, and I'll show you guys how I get started for round 3. It's the exact same thing as for round 2. Alright, so I just finished my second round of the moss stitch, and as you guys go on throughout your project, it's going to be a lot easier for you guys as you progress to tell where the chain 1 space is and how to tell where you think is best to start your round, because there really isn't like a set way to start your round. I feel like for this project, I see here that if I go straight down, that's the chain 1 space. So I'm just going to go ahead and place my single crochet there instead of working forward a little bit like I did for my last row. So with just a little bit of practice, you guys are going to be able to tell where the best place is for you guys to start your round. But go ahead and do a few more rounds. For this, I did, well, for my first little moss section, I did 5 rows of the moss stitch. Then I changed to 2 rows of the green, 1 row of the cream, 2 rows of the gold, and then that's when I switched it up a little bit and I did 4 rows of the cream, and then 2 rows of the green, 1 row, and then 2 rows, and then I just repeat that until I get to the top, and I'll show you guys how I did the top. But for the top, I actually ended up doing 6 rows. But for this next section, I'm going to show you guys how I did the color change, because I know a whole bunch of people are going to ask in the comments, so I'll just go ahead and show you guys right now. Okay, I'm going to show you guys how I did my color changes. This is super easy, super quick. So as you can see here, I'm almost done with my round. I have done my chain 1. All that's left for me to do is a slip stitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my hook where I would be doing a regular slip stitch, but instead I'm going to grab my new color, yarn over with my new color, and pull it through, like so. And now you are completely set up to continue as if you didn't even do a color change. So yeah, if I were to work into the next row a little bit, I would just place a single crochet and continue on with the moss stitch. It can be a little bit difficult at first because nothing's tight here. Everything wants to be like all loose and falling out. You can tie your ends, make it a little bit tighter. But yeah, I'll just continue a little bit with this row to show you guys. Oops. But yeah, I'm going to show you guys how I did all this stuff on top, because like I said, this entire body is the moss stitch. I showed you guys how to do the color changes, and you're just alternating in that pattern with the colors. But I'll show you guys how to do this, and then just tie it up top. Alright, and for this next part, like I said, I'm going to be showing you guys how I did the actual handle of the bag. And it starts about right here. You'll do decreases on the side until you have 4 stitches. Whatever stitch you want to do, you can do a double crochet, single crochet, or continue with the moss stitch. You're going to be working upwards until you have your ends. These are just double knotted together. So the positioning of my hook and where it is in my project has set me up to do exactly what I did here. So I'll start here. And I'm going to be doing single crochets. I'm not going to do the moss stitch for this. I found that it was very, very, very difficult to keep a clean edge when I was doing the moss stitch, so I just did single crochets. But that's totally up to you guys how you want to do your handle. But I'm going to place single crochets around just the ends and a little bit on the sides of my project. So you can see here, I started here and I worked my way around like so. And I'm going to turn my project and work back around this way. But I actually skip this stitch, this first stitch entirely, and I just start working into the next stitch, and that's how I do my decreases on the sides. So I'm just going to keep on working all the way to the other side. Alright, so here I have the last 2 stitches for this, and I will actually do a decrease for this one to get kind of a clean slope I'll show you, to get like a clean slope leading into the actual handle. And then again, I will turn my work. And to start off the row, I just skip this first stitch altogether and work into the next stitch. And I'll be placing single crochets until I get all the way to the end where I have 2 stitches left. Like so. I have 2 stitches, and I'm going to place a decrease, which actually I'm going to show you guys because a few people might not know. So I'm going to basically be turning both of these, if my camera will focus. I'll be turning both of these stitches into just 1 stitch. I'll insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert my hook into the next stitch, and pull up a loop, so I'll actually have 3 loops on my hook. I'll yarn over and pull through all 3, and that's a decrease. Turn my work again. I will skip this stitch, the first one entirely, and work into the next one, and I'm just going to repeat this pattern of decreasing until I have the size of the handle that I want. And like I said, for mine was 4 stitches across, but if you want a thicker handle, just don't decrease as many times as I did. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I actually have 5 stitches. And if you're left in this predicament, because you actually decrease by 2 every row, you can just skip this one, work into the next stitch, and work yourself all the way across instead of doing any decreases. Or you can just work with 5 stitches across. That's totally up to you. But now that I'm 4 stitches across, I'm just going to be working back and forth, not doing any decreases, just doing 4 single crochets across, and I'll keep on turning my work after every row. There's 2, 3, and 4. So you're going to continue that pattern of 4 stitches. I'll zoom out a little bit for you guys. 4 stitches until you have the handle as long as you want it, and remember, you're going to have it a little bit long if you want to do the little ties on the end. But now I'm going to show you guys how I did this part here. It's super simple. You're basically just going to be doing the opposite of what I just told you guys to do with the decreases. I'm going to try and get a little bit more yarn. Okay. So you've done this part. You have the length of your handle that you want. Now I got to do the opposite of what I said. So I'm going to turn my work, and I'm going to place 2 single crochets into the first stitch, and then place 1 single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. Then once I reach my stitch on the end, I'm going to do another increase, which is just placing 2 single crochets into the same stitch at the very end. I'm going to turn my work and place 1 single crochet in every stitch across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So as you can see, well, if I can do this last one, I just increased my row by 2. Alright, turn your work again and repeat that of doing 2 single crochets on each of the end stitches, and then 1 single crochet into each of the stitches in the middle. Now I've reached my end stitch. I'm going to place 2 single crochets here, turn my work, and then place 1 single crochet into each of the stitches. So at the end of this row, I'll have 8 single crochets. And you're going to repeat that pattern. If you want a larger little circle on the end of your handle, I only increased twice. So at this point, goodness sakes, at this point, what I did, if I can finish this last stitch, is I then continued just doing 1 single crochet into every stitch, so that would be all 8 of them. I did 2 more rows, and then I just did the whole decreasing thing. So we just did the whole increase right here. Then I did 2 more rows of just regular, no increasing, no decreasing rows. And then I worked myself all the way back down, doing decreases, which is exactly what we did on this part of the bag at the beginning of the handle. But then at that point, you'll just repeat that for the other side. So we just did one, you'll repeat that, tie the ends together, and you got yourself a bag. I know this was a super quick video, I didn't go super in depth, so if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can leave them down in the comments and I'll try to get back to you guys. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching and stay tuned for more.